After spending about 8 hours in the Battlefield 6 beta, I can safely say with confidence that I've more or less experienced enough of what Battlefield 6 is going to offer in terms of its core at release because, well, this game is going to be coming out in about 2 months, and there's not really too much that you can change in between then and now. And I'm more talking about like big overhauls. We're probably going to be able to only see like little tweaks here and there, which the developers have acknowledged. But back into my initial thoughts, and to, I guess, answer the question, is Battlefield 6 worth the hype? Is it all just smoke and mirrors, or are we actually going to get a banger? Are we, quote-unquote, back? Well, it's depending on how you look at it, but as someone who has put roughly 1,000 hours into Battlefield 4 across PlayStation 4 and PC, another 1,000 hours, give or take, on across PC, PS3, and also Venice Unleashed that I still play to this day, the Battlefield 3 modded client, I can safely say that Battlefield 6 does feel like those games, mostly. A little bit faster pace, maybe more on the par of Hardline, though I haven't played Hardline in years. But it does feel like that. Maybe even closer to 2042, but I'd still say, at least to how it felt to me while I was playing this beta, because I still do play Battlefield 3 through Venice Unleashed, it does feel like Battlefield 3 mostly. Not entirely, but mostly. And this beta, I think, was a competent display of what Battlefield 6 has to offer. It wasn't perfect. No beta really is going to be, or no game in general is going to be. There are problems that a lot of people are calling out about this, but there are pros as well. There's pros and cons to this whole thing, and by the end of the video, hopefully, you'll be able to make your own decision on whether or not if you want to buy this game at release, or if you just want to wait a little bit longer. But also at the end of the video, I will give my initial thoughts on where I stand on when I want to buy this game. But let's start off with the pros. The pros are, as I said at the beginning of this video, it plays like Battlefield 3 and 4. A sort of combination, maybe a little bit like Hardline. It just all around feels like it is a little bit faster pace, and it definitely feels a little less clunky, and there's definitely a lot more movement in terms of like being able to climb, vault, and maybe even dive roll, but it does feel like Battlefield. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit closer to COD in some regard to the speed, but for the most part, it does feel like it. And the graphics and sound are solid, as always. DICE has brought their A game here like they usually do, even in 2042. And here's a big silver lining. Performance is fantastic. I had no crashes, pretty much. The only time that I might had was the game froze on me when I was trying to quit out of the menu. But overall, no straight crashed desktops, which I think is phenomenal. Like, the last beta that I played for Battlefield, it was bad. Like, performance and FPS drops were all over the damn place, and I kept crashing. So, that's a huge plus win in my eyes. Now, my computer, I'm running the game at 1080p, RTX 3070, Ryzen 7 5700X 3D, so around 32 gigabytes of RAM on Windows 10. Those are my specs, and it was running just fine. I did turn on FSR, but there was no lag, and it was running just fine at 144 FPS. I don't usually go above it because there's no need to, and plus it'll start making my computer louder, and if I can make it not as loud and not have to force so much power, then I'll do that. I'll lock the game at 144 and call it a day. But again, there's no issues. It felt good, and I maybe had some FPS drops here and there, but nothing terrible. And the destruction, I think, is solid. We're never going to get something like Bad Company 2's destruction. We got to let that go. As much as I love it, it's just not going to be a thing anymore. I'd say it's a little bit less destructive than 3 and 4, but maybe definitely more than 2042. It's like somewhere in the middle. I do wish there was more destruction, but, you know, sometimes when it comes to destruction, if the maps aren't made in mind with the whole map being completely obliterated, balance can kind of go out the window. And you even see that in Battlefield 3 and 4 with some maps. I won't name them, but some maps become kind of unplayable when everything's destroyed and there's no cover, or barely any to go around. And gunplay feels good, mostly, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But guns all feel good. I do prefer to have the guns locked, but it is nice they kind of gave us both options. But we'll hopefully see what DICE decides. Ultimately, I think the closed weapon seems to be the more preferred playstyle for people. Even myself, even though in the beta it was nice having these guns to kind of rank up and, you know, have a variety of where to pick them. But at the end of the day, I do prefer closed weapons, but it's nice that there are two options there. And Conquest was what I mostly played. I'm not really a Breakthrough or Rush fan anymore, so I just played Conquest as much as I could. And there is a mode that I did play. I went up to level 16 in the beta, And I did mostly play the training sort of like intro to Conquest thing just because I wanted to kind of have a nice, relaxing weekend. Like shooting bots is sometimes a nice thing to have and still kind of rank up and kind of relax a bit because ultimately, it's just not always fun having to deal with, Mr. Sweaty over there with his ultra warped monitor that allows him to see everything on the battlefield in widescreen and everything. Ridiculous. But bots are back in Battlefield. They're probably not going anywhere, so people can just learn to live with it. But the bots are here, and we'll talk about them in particular in this next part, because now we're going to transition into the cons, which is quite a few. The biggest con, the shotgun. I think it's no stranger. I even have footage of myself using this damn thing. It's ridiculous. But it's fun, but it's ridiculous. Probably needs a pretty good nerf, which I do believe they're going to address that. So, awesome. Support. I'm a big support guy. I like to support my team. And support I have quite a few criticisms with. There's no anti-tank weapons. Now, this was a beta, so probably just a slice. But there was no anti-tank weapons. And not to mention, I don't like that the meds and support, like ammo, are the same package. I do wish that, because even 2042 had it, though you could put both on for some stupid reason, but I do wish that you had to choose between medical or ammo. That way, people had to kind of see what you would be bringing, and also the pick up health thing is in there from Hardline. However, it's only for health. If you activate the ability, you get ammo. But honestly, it should just depend. Like, you should be able to only pick one, either health or ammo, stick with it, and that's what you should main as. And then, maybe have the defib be something else that you can equip, like, something explosive like C4 or Jeep stuff, if you understand that reference. But that's what I think should be, as a tool for support. Because it was kind of sucking to play as support, and I couldn't take down a tank or a vehicle. I just had my gun and maybe a grenade, but through my testing, the grenade did nothing to tanks, so it is what it is. The bloom and spread felt off. Like, it definitely, a lot of my shots weren't landing correctly, and I was getting killed behind walls for stupid reasons. And the netcode probably is a little strange, which other people have been quick to point out. So there is that. Hopefully DICE will continue to adjust and figure that out. But this is a sort of new DICE with Vince Bella taking over. So we'll see what happens. As I did say earlier, the game is slightly maybe too faster paced, but I don't know. Maybe this is something I could just get used to. It's not like the biggest con. It's just, yeah, you do feel like you go maybe just a bit faster, especially now that you can crouch walk, kind of like Battlefield 5's mechanics they had, which, it is kind of what it is. But it's, it does feel a little bit fast-paced in certain areas. I definitely hope we get more bigger maps, because some of the maps we had on offer, they definitely were smaller scale than what we're used to. But honestly, I'll give them a slight pass if the maps on launch are bigger, because they wanted to make this a beta, get it out there as soon as possible. These might be the only maps that are kind of stable, working right, or were just a slice of the formula for Battlefield 6, and maybe they just wanted to keep the size small so people could download it easily. I don't know. I still wish there were a little bit more bigger maps, but we'll see what happens. And then the last con, which I think this was a setting they decided to choose, but the bots in this are pretty fucking stupid. And I do mean that word. They are fucking stupid. I mean, the bots at 2042 weren't anything special, but I played it on the hardest difficulty, and it felt more or less like I was playing with players. The bots here, they gotta be on the easiest difficulty or something, which, please bump it up to normal at least. These are really some stupid bots. Like, and even then, it kind of ranged on how they could aim properly. Sometimes they could not aim for shit, but then sometimes they could laser on you. So, if they're here to stay, please tweak the aim so they're not this fucking crazy. Like, it was ridiculous. There were some moments where I was like, how did you kill me so quickly? You didn't use a shotgun. You used a freaking, like, assault rifle. The one that has a high fire rate. Was it the MP443 or whatever it is? Like, come on, really? So, overall, that's kind of like my thoughts on Battlefield 6, just to keep it quick and simple, just because I'm not a huge, in-depth Battlefield guy. I mean, I'm a veteran, but I'm not someone that's going to break down the game in quick, minute detail with bullet points and everything. These are just my initial thoughts after playing 8 hours. And I guess my overall thoughts are, I think Battlefield has a great case this year, and I do think that there is an opportunity that DICE can jump on and capitalize given Call of Duty's current crisis. But no, Call of Duty is not going to die. Battlefield is not going to be the Call of Duty killer, but it can help maybe bring some competition that is sorely needed in the FPS space right now. We do not have much of anything. I mean, Delta Force has kind of fallen off the planet, which I was looking forward to, but in the end, glad I didn't jump in past the beta, because the beta was something. But No. I think we are in a good position right now, and I think Vince Zabella is doing a great job taking over the reins, and hopefully Battlefield can get back on track. Because how I'm viewing Battlefield 6 is, I don't think this is going to be the best Battlefield. We are far away from that, but I do think Battlefield 6 could be a stepping stone to either, if they play their cards right, it could be a great Battlefield by the end of its life cycle, kind of like how Battlefield 4 started off kind of shit, but then became one of the better ones. Argument being it could be the best one. And then maybe Battlefield 7 could be that springboard to bring something even better, to truly bring a great Battlefield game. But that's how I'm looking at it. And to answer the question I posted at the beginning of this video, I am not going to pre-order this. I'm not stupid. My rose-tinted glasses are not on. I am going to wait about 2 to 3 months. The reason being is I want to see what they do with the post-launch. I want to see how this launches. I want to see what they do in terms of content and updates. So probably next year I might jump on the bandwagon to play it. But for right now, I enjoyed my time with the beta, and I got my fun out of it, and I'm definitely looking forward to Battlefield 6, but I am going to hold off on pre-ordering. I invite everybody to do the same thing, because we don't know. It's definitely better than 2042 and what we had those years ago, but DICE needs to get us to trust them again. I don't trust DICE. It's a new DICE. I don't trust them yet. They gotta get me to earn their trust, and we'll go from there. So anyway, that's all I have to really say in this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts about Battlefield 6 in the comments down below. You know, are you excited? Are you still on the fence? Are you kind of playing the same game I'm playing and just going to wait and see what happens? You know, let me know. And also let me know what your favorite moment in the Battlefield 6 beta was. Anyway, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell to know when I post a video. Also, check out my Rumble. It's a nice little backup just that I like to have and that I've had since I've started my YouTube channel sort of career path. It's just a nice backup to have in case anything might dare happen or, you know, hopefully expanding my outreach to another platform with the whole recent stuff happening with YouTube. So just going to plug this in right here. Also share the video around. Really helps me get into the algorithm a bit more and hopefully get me more noticed because we are on the road to still 500 subscribers. And as of recording, we are at 470. So 30 subscribers away from hitting that goal. And one more step closer to being monetized, which the goal I'm now making is by the end of the year, I will be monetized on some level. So we're just going to keep going forward and forward. And also, I will be using Battlefield 6 footage for the time being, give or take, depending on the video, just to kind of splice it in a bit, since I did record quite a bit of footage from this beta. So looking forward to using that for a time being. So anyway, I will see you guys with another video. Y'all take care and have a good rest of your Sunday.